Never could I.
No, it just feels like I've always known you.
Yeah, I know. It's lovely though.
It wouldn't have been through Jacqueline, because I met Jacqueline through you. No, it's just, yeah, it's one of them things. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm thinking,
how do I know? I was thinking that when I was saying about the interview. How do I know her?
I think I came to you were doing something at your house.
Yeah, my little studio I had, weren't I? Yeah, I don't know what I was. Yeah, who did you come there with? You came there with someone.
Got no idea. Literally, I have no idea.
No, I haven't.
Okie
Funny
doke.
that.
You're about to go live. And Kindasound. And you're live.
And welcome to Kindasound Radio this morning with the Reality Bite Show with me, your host, Wendy Smith, and my lovely guest this morning, Katie Bristow. Morning, Katie.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh, it is Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, Happy Mother's Day to Mother. I'll see you soon, Mother. We'd lovely to come over, sending you loads of love, and to love to all those mothers out there as well. Where would we be without you?
Exactly. Thank you for having me on, Wendy.
Oh, my absolute pleasure this morning. So I just want to say to all the listeners, so me and Katie were just having a conversation off air, trying to work out, number one, how long we've known each other before, and number two, how on earth we got to know each other in the first place, and neither of us can remember. It's been that long. Not got the best memories.
No, definitely not.
Something to do with an event at your place, I think. Probably
it was, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But Katie, I wanted Katie to come on this morning and have a chat, because Katie is she is one powerhouse of a woman as far as I'm concerned. But her main focus in life is children. So it's just helping kids. And I always think Katie's a bit of an advocate for children's mental health, welfare, and just getting results in life. I mean, you come from a very interesting background as well, but that's how I sort of know you. I see you as a fighter and champion for the children.
Oh, thank you. That's lovely. Thank you so much.
That's all right. So the show's called Reality Bites, Katie, and the reason for that is I like people to get sort of like a slice of someone's life. Mm-hmm. So they get to know a little bit, about their background, where they come from, the school system. I always like to talk about our conditioning process that we all go through and people's experiences, and then a bit of life. So if you don't mind, background of you then, where did you sort of grow up, and what was your early years experience of like family and school?
So I grew up in Ilford in good old Essex, and I went to a school called Cannon Palmer. I went to St Peter and Paul's First Full Primary School and then Cannon Palmer. So I did struggle with school, but I loved school because I loved the social aspect of school. Had lots of lovely friendships, but I was never an academic person, but I could get everybody together if that. And I'm still friends with a lot of my friends from school now, which is lovely. But I did struggle a lot. And grew up, my family come from a family business. So they was always, my mum and dad had a wholesale business, so with lots of different retail shops. So I grew up in a family business, so it was always very much that kind of, I guess that gave me that driving force a bit growing up around that. One of three, so I've got an older brother and older sister, so yeah, and I did love school, but I really struggled. So I think that's why I can relate to a lot of these kids as well, going, its schooling system hasn't changed, has it, Wendy? It's not changed one bit. I mean, it's just ridiculous, really, isn't it?
Yeah, on some levels. I'm sure we're going to wander into that space, because we both have quite strong opinions on it. But did you find at school that you had a lot of help when you were struggling?
No. It was just sort of crack on, and I think I was just, I didn't, and I wasn't what you call rebellious or, but it wasn't something that came naturally to me. But then I left school, I went to college, I moved to Finchinfield actually from Ilford, which is a real culture shock. because that was completely different living in Ilford to then going to Pinchinfield. And my parents relocated their business, but as we was just talking before we come on, it was great. So I went to college there, got introduced to going to a place called The Barn we was laughing about, made more new friends. So that was amazing. But I think I really found my passion. I went and got a lot of different jobs, and in those days you could, but I really found my passion when at 20 I got into recruitment, and it was in the care, so it was working with people in care, and I loved it. You know me, I love talking. If anybody who knows me, they know I love to chat.
And so going through school, did you have any idea then, because obviously you say you grew up with family businesses, so did you have any idea what you wanted to do, or were you literally just ploughing through the education system waiting to get out of there? Did you have an inkling of like,
I think I always knew I wanted to do something myself, but no, I didn't. And as I said, for me, I really did struggle at school, and the exams, I didn't even, to a point, I didn't take my GCSEs. And then I had to resit them when I went to Braintree College. So yeah, I didn't get any help, and it just wasn't like that then. I was very good at sort of all the sporting stuff and drama and stuff like that, but yeah, and really, I think my mum and dad were so busy, bless them, they didn't even really notice. They didn't take much notice. So, and it was no fault of them, because I had an amazing mum and dad, but you know, they was busy with their business. So, but I'd go to my mum and dad's warehouse. I'd go through, help my mum with all the invoices and adding them up on the calculator. So I loved all those sort of sides of things. So I think that got me involved in it, you know.
I think as well, with school, what I found was, because we had very similar, similar upbringing. We grew up in a pub, so mum was very good with accounts, figures. Yeah. She read to us every single night of the week. So when we were kids, you know, we'd always have a story read to us. And so reading, writing and maths, we always did, because we'd be doing, mum would show us her account books, and, you know, we'd play with money in the till. Yeah, in the bar. Yeah. You know, if you've got this and this, and you add it up, and someone gives you a tenner, how much change have you got to give them? Yeah. So we sort of learned all the practical skills, all the stuff that you would need for life. We actually learned off of our parents. Well, I don't actually learn anything at school of any use. No, I definitely didn't. Definitely didn't. And the one thing I learned was how to socialise with people. That's probably the best skill I come at. Of my social skills, you know, and getting everyone sort of networking. But no, I can honestly say, but I just think now I look at it and it just hasn't moved on at all, especially having children now myself, you know. I can see it's so mad. I can see their struggles, what I went through, you know, I used to really struggle with processing, holding on to information and processing that information. And I can remember one of my uncles, he was so good at maths, but he'd sit there with me and I just couldn't take it in. But I think that then goes back from when I was in primary school. I had a horrible maths teacher, and she just put the fear of God in me and literally told me, you know, I couldn't do it. I was a bit of a failure, and that was it. So I think I just had a mental block then. It's amazing, isn't it, how quick it can happen as well. Yeah. I mean, I think this is one of the flaws, the educational flaws for me. I've been thinking about it because I've been learning a lot of new stuff recently, and I have a certain way of learning. I'll watch one of the videos, but I'll only watch like 3 or 4 minutes of it. Then I'll make notes, and then I go back and watch that section again, and then I'll read my notes and maybe add some more, and then I'll watch it again and read my notes, and then at that point it might sink in. I think on anything you learn, I think you only take in around about 16% on the initial of it. Yeah. And I think this is where we're flawed, isn't it? Because you're with the pressure to perform and get your stats and hit your results. You're not given the time for your brain to actually process the information for you to remember it, because it's all like, come on, hurry up, we've done this, you know, move on. This has got to learn this bit next. Yeah. And I think what you're saying is so true about the practical skills, learning from your parents, because I'd do the take-ins from my mum and dad's shop. I'd help my mum do that, the markets, everything. So I learned the best entrepreneurial skills there. You know, out my negotiation skills, my bartering skills.
was all learnt there. So I learned a lot more when I left school, obviously, than being in school.
Yeah, definitely. I can agree with you there. Just watching how mum and dad did business.
Yeah,
And obviously
fantastic,
in the pub
isn't it?
environment, you've got constant social interaction. So
Yeah.
you see how, I'd see how they deal with what were known as awkward customers, and
Yeah.
everybody was viewed the same. My mum would treat a tramp. We used to get tramps come in, and they'd bring in the bottles to get the 10p back when you used to get things like that. But she would treat everybody the same. Everybody had the same level as respect. Didn't matter what you're wearing, where you came from, how much money you earned. When you came into that environment, you were all treated the same. Everybody was on the playing field. And it was just, I think that was, me and my sister probably learned some of the best social skills we possibly could.
100%, me too.
And values.
Yeah, and I think that's really what needs to be brought back now, 100%, because we've just lost all of that. We've just completely lost it. But yeah, so that was me. And then, as I said, at 23, I went on to set up my own business.
So how did you get it, out of curiosity then, how did you end up in recruitment? So that's...
Yeah, so as I said...
market, isn't it? So...
Yeah, as I said, I moved down to Finchley and then went to college. Then we all used to get the commuter bus from Braintree up to London, and every morning. And then I can remember going into do you remember Alfred Marks? They used to have the...
Yeah.
So I can remember going in there at Oxford Street and I thought, oh my God, I really want to do this. This is a bit of me. And I never forget it. There was a woman called Beverly. Anyway, I ended up, out of all my mates, I ended up bagging this job, great job. And I worked for a company, a fashion company. And it was fantastic. But anyway, and then I thought I'd love that. And then the opportunity came a few years later when I was around 20 to work in recruitment. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it because I was talking to people. I was on the phone, which is one of my favourite things, and talking to people. So, and it was helping people. So I was helping people to, fulfil what they wanted to do with their jobs and that. So I loved it. And then my dad was like, you're good at this. You've got a little niche here. And I just loved making a difference when. So at 23, he was like, okay, I'm going to give you sort of a leg up the ladder. And I borrowed some money off my mum and dad. And I found an office in Bethnal Green and I set up there. So I was very young to do that.
Yeah.
And I loved it, absolutely loved it. And I really threw myself into work then massively. So, by the time I sold it, I had like 250 people working for me for a week and was managing like 8,000 hours of care. But, that was a real journey to go through that. But God, I loved it. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I was just in my element.
And this is the thing, isn't it, about finding something in life that you enjoy doing. So many people are pushed into get a job, 9 to 5, earn some money, get your mortgage, and it's and not following their passion.
No,
finding something that makes them tick.
Yeah. And I do think, looking back and reflecting back, because obviously I've sold it now, but reflecting back, what you're not taught is to have a balance. And what I done was I made my work sort of my go-to of not dealing with other things that were going on in my life. So there was different situations that had happened that I probably not processed. I'd not given my time to, and just threw myself into work. And then you go into burnout, don't you? So do you know what I mean? So yeah, I was just, but it was, I loved it, absolutely loved it. And I do love working with people. That is my passion.
So on that note then, Joe Smooth, Promised Land, what do you like about this track this morning?
Just the words to it. I think at the moment, that's where we're peaking at the moment. It's coming together. It's one of my all-time favourite songs. And I do think there's freedom along the way, definitely. It's coming soon.
There is indeed. Django, if you wouldn't mind, a bit of Joe Smooth to start us off and some Promised Land this morning, thank you.
Oh, you're off air.
Lovely job, thank you. Yeah, I feel like just the whole we can dive into the education system and where we think it should go, but it's when you start talking about it, it's a very interesting subject, isn't it?
Yeah,
I say
I think what I want to sort of say is as well, I want to speak about sort of the whole journey. You know what we were saying when we went for our coffee the other week, and we were saying about the PTSD, and you were saying about Caesar dying, and that you realised, and I think that's what was with my mum. It was the pivotal point in my life was my mum dying, because that brought everything to a head for me.
Yeah.
At 40, because I'd sold my business, I'd lost my mum, and then I was like, well, who am I? And that's when everything come up that I was kind of, then I'd not processed. Do you see what I mean?
And we have so much of it. I always say to people, if anybody who's been through the education system, you've got trauma anyway.
Oh, Jesus.
Because that's what the education, when people say to me, oh, I really, really enjoyed school. And I go, what? You're telling me you enjoyed like dragging yourself out of bed every morning?
It's minions. Yeah, it's minion training, isn't it? It's but also I do think that, I mean, that definitely, that teacher had an effect on me for a long time.
Yeah.
Those words. Funny, isn't it?
It is, yeah, because I remember.
And it's not till you do this work that you actually realise, oh my God.
Yeah, belief system. We'll wander into this one because it's an interesting subject. The effect that people have on you when you're young.
Words, the
words that people use and what they can do to you. I was talking to someone about this the other day, about maps of, I call it a map of reality.
Yeah.
So like, I'm very, you know me with language, I'm very acute with language.
Yeah.
And because of my job, I have to listen to what people are telling me so I can unpick their maps.
Yeah.
And he was just constantly saying to me how people are always staring at me, people are doing this, people are doing that. And it was like, wow, that's a very interesting perception. So how do you know that they're judging you on a certain level unless you've actually had a conversation with them?
Yeah.
So you're making an assumption based on something that you've got held in your map of reality.
Yeah, that's right.
If your perception when you go out is everybody's looking at me, all your brain will filter out is everybody who's not looking at you and just find you the ones that are.
Yeah, that's so true.
It's down to something that's happened that's made you, you know, something would have happened at some point back here that's given you the, you know, someone stared at you for some reason and it's been a negative experience. It wasn't a positive experience. And now it's something that you're now just keeping in your awareness every day. Yeah. And until you get it cleaned up.
Seconds.
Thanks, Django. It'll just keep running.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And I said, like I said to people, stare at you all day long anyway. I stare at people.
Oh, I do. I love people watching.
Yeah, this is a thing. Yesterday, there was a young lad in the supermarket, actually, and he was staring at me. I stood with his mum. And after a couple of minutes, because we're in the queue, I just said to him, do you want to know why I've got the walking stick? And his mum went, oh, God, I'm sorry.
Kindasound Radio, the station for a global community.
We'll talk about this one.
And you're live.
And welcome back to Kindasound this morning on Reality Bites with my gorgeous guest, Katie Bristow. I nearly called you Katie Bristow, and she's got two names. She likes to confuse me, Katie does. So this morning she's Bristow.
Especially on a Sunday morning wind.
Exactly. Don't take a lot most days of the week anyway, does it? So we were just chatting about in the break, actually, so like covering school and the effect that teachers have on you positively or negatively. And PTSD, I know me and you were having this conversation about PTSD a few weeks ago, like you said, when we went out for coffee. And what was your experience then? Do you want to go into depth a little bit about
what, at school?
With teachers.
Yeah, it was at primary school. There was one specific teacher and she taught me maths. And I can remember being reduced to tears many times and going home to my mum and just saying, I can't take it in. I couldn't retain that information. And that really had an effect on in my confidence. Although I come across this very confident in that side of things. I carried that for a long time. Hence why I think when I started my business, I was such an overachiever, because there was always that in the back of my mind. Can't do, you know, and so it pushes you to that, doesn't it?
Powerful belief systems, aren't they?
Oh my God, like, you know, my daughter came home the other day and she was telling me what one of the geography teachers said to her for for her not, so basically saying that that's why she's ungraded, because she's not concentrating in class. Well, if you struggle to concentrate in class, you know, a teacher saying that is really not, it's just not helpful at all, is it? It's the worst thing ever, because you're basically saying, well, do you know what, give up now, you know.
Yeah,
you're a failure.
and it is that concentration I was talking about. So I can't think who it was, but I was talking to someone the other day regarding learning styles, and I was saying it was, you know, for me, if you put a PowerPoint presentation on, my head will just switch off. I do not learn visually at all.
Yeah,
I'm really good at visualizing and making pictures in my head, but I do not learn visually. I learn by listening and then by doing. So tell me and then let me do it. Tell me and let me do it. If you keep drawing me pictures of what I'm meant to be doing, it just hurts my head.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, isn't it? At school, they have one pattern, one way of doing things, and it's quick. And if you don't fit into that box, you get knocked out the system really quickly.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a kinesthetic kid as well. I think that's why we both did sports so much at school.
Oh God, yeah. I love sports, yeah.
Yeah, it's that doing, isn't it? You can, you know, sports, you haven't got there's no real academic side to it. You just go and smack a ball with a hockey stick, or you know, shoot a ball at netball or whatever. And it's the physical movement that used to fulfill me, really.
Yeah. I think you don't realise until you're older what an effect those words have on you as a child, and being told that, you know, and what it can affect your self-esteem, your confidence, you know, how you speak, how your communication, everything. So
yeah, massively, especially if you're under, I mean, we know this, you know, your programming years under 8 years old.
Yeah,
you're constantly told those things. I mean, I think this is what drives me insane with the schooling system. You know, you're expecting kids that should be running around outside climbing trees, you know, and pretending to be unicorns or Batman or whatever. You're trying to sit them all down in a classroom and get them to stare front and centre and absorb information. It is just so unnatural.
it is. Yeah,
totally. To learn. They shouldn't be going into any of that until they're at least 10, 11 or something.
Yeah.
You know, and then through their choice, what do you want to learn now?
It should be creative, you know, where their creative flair is, that's where it should take them.
Yeah, there should be the option for that. And it just gets, I'm just trying to think I was thinking about primary school when you were talking, actually. I think I had 2 teachers that I absolutely adored at primary school. And then the others were just, they were, you know, it was that pressurized, you've got to get this right, you've got to get this right, you've got to get this right.
It was horrible, and I will never forget her name, what she looked like, you know, and I've dealt with it now, but at the time, as I said, for years, and that's what really, probably, as I said, which is a good thing in a way, it sparked me to be such an overachiever, but it's also can also not be such a great thing, because you push yourself to burnout sometimes, which I totally did, you know what I mean? So
prove something, isn't it, as well? I think when you get into that space where you're trying to prove your worth, this is where so many people end up with mental health problems and, you know, life issues, is where you've had so many negative experiences when you were growing, when you should be being nurtured and
that's right,
grown and expanded. You had so many negative experiences that squashed you. They literally beat the light out of you, really. So you're not shining, you know, you're not exploring any potential. No. And then, like you say, you go into later life and then you're constantly trying to prove your worth to other people to feel good, when you should never be in that position. You should just be able to know your worth on the inside.
That's right, I know. It's and you know what, when I've got some great, you know, some of my good friends are teachers, so it's not I wouldn't want to be going into that career, and I do feel so sorry for them, you know, because it's far from easy, and you know, you work alongside schools, so it's really, really difficult, but something needs to give now, doesn't it? You know?
I mean, I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm not doing as much as I used to, because it's heartbreaking. The pain in the teachers and the pain in the children. The teachers are in what I call the Ofsted squash. Do you know what I mean? which is Ofsted squashes down on the heads, they squash down on the assistants, they squash down on the SLTs, they squash down on the teachers, and then the teachers have nowhere to go but to squash down on the children.
Yeah.
Because it's all about stats.
Yeah, it's all statistics, numbers. Isn't it? Everything is statistics, and you know, UB40, 1 in 10, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like how many of those kids are identified, or especially from COVID. I think COVID is just, I cannot even believe, like, I look at my daughter, she's in year 10, and you know, my house is always full of kids. And when you speak to them about it, and I'm sure you going into the schools, when you speak to them about it, and the young people that I work with, you know, they hate it, absolutely hate it. And, you know, this whole thing of they're still having to sit exams, the mocks, you know, my daughter's got her mocks next week, and I'm like, listen, just do what you can with where you can, you know, with where you are. Don't stress yourself out about it, because they're exams at the end of the day. They don't, you know, your life path is mapped out. They're not going to, that's not the be all and end all in life. You know, it's those moments, it's those experiences, it's those people that cross your path, and they're like, it's all those things that are diamonds that we should be taking hold of, you know.
But we're taught, though, that you are the worth of what you get in your exam results. Yeah. That's your worth. And that's, you know, it's not who you are, is it? No, it's not. You know, it's really not. At the fundamental level. It's the people that you know, it's the things like the people's lives that you touch along the way, and the difference that you make as a human being. Those are the things that are so valuable, you know. And like what you were saying before, following your passion and purpose, those things. But unfortunately, it's all just dimmed down. And I think, you know, what we've got now is we have got we've got literally a group of young people who are, sorry, my phone's just going off, who are basically disengaged, absolutely disengaged. And why would they not be from the education system? The amount of young people I know that have left already, or being homeschooled or whatever else, you know, completely disengaged. Yeah, I have one of my clients, one of her children is literally refusing to go to school. He's 15, just hit 15. And he's like, no, he literally anchors on, I'm not going, and there's nothing you can do about it. No, don't blame him. It's just, and it's like he said, because there's the environment is not a pleasant environment to be in. No. And you know, when we come back to the exams, if you think about that, you're being taught to regurgitate information that someone thinks is what you need to know to live life. Yeah. It's not. I can't think of any of the information I learned at school, honestly. No. That is of any use to me now. No, that's right. And I think, you know, things like, as we were saying, I learned so much more from, you know, my family business and my parents and people around me. I learned so much more, and then going on to get different jobs and working, that's where I got my experience. And do you know what? If they're going to go through a few jobs, so what? It is all life experience. That's what makes you as a person. You know, even now at 50, I'm still going ahead. I changed a career at 40, but that's okay. And change is good. Change is very good. But we're not taught that either. No. You know, we're not taught to go out of our comfort zone. You know, it's right, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. You know, leave school, get a job, get married. No, that's just to keep you in the, as Rishi Sunak says, the modern slavery system. I love when he says that's it, exactly. Is that anybody know? Yeah. That? No, nothing to see here. Just move on. Right, Optimistic, Sounds of Blackness. This song, so this is to a lot of the young people out there, and you know, for me, it was a song I'd always listen to when I was having a tough time, because you've always got to keep your head up high and keep going, and you will have those days where you know, you're not feeling that, but it's one of my real feel-good songs that I'll blast up when. Nice. Django, if you wouldn't mind a bit of jazz. Sounds of blackness and some optimistic this morning, please.
The blackness.
Oh, you're off air.
Lovely, thank you.
Yes.
Django, you're a bit bitty when you come through. I can't hear if we're on air or off air.
I noticed that.
Oh,
at the
really?
start.
Is it any better now?
Oh no,
Or
you're
is
better
it
now. Yeah,
worse?
that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Cool.
better. But yeah, the optimism, I'll tell you what makes me laugh. My mum's got some funny old sayings. Like, so when everything's going tits up for me, and I go, oh mum, I just don't know if I can cope, you know. She'll go, oh, don't worry, the sun will come out tomorrow. And I'll be like, how the hell at this particular moment in time is that gonna help me? What, like, the sun will come out, you know, and like, do you know what I mean? Your legs off or something. Don't worry, the sun will come out tomorrow.
Oh my God.
What's the other one? She always says to me as well, don't worry, it'll all be all right in the wash.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh no, thanks for that nugget, mum.
Yeah,
It'll all be all right in the wash.
Oh, it'll come out in the wash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
It just makes me laugh. The old school way of doing things, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, pick yourself up, get on. You fell over, cut
Brush yourself down. Come on. Yeah.
I remember falling over and like cutting my knees on gravel or something like that. And I remember both my parents like laughing at me. First they laugh. This is our family, right? You get laughed at first when you injure yourself. Then they pick you up. It used to be spit on a tissue.
Oh my God, that smell.
Blood off.
Do you remember that smell? Oh, the hanky. Oh,
Yeah,
like,
that's it. Yeah, rub it. That'd be like dust the blood off and then send you off again.
yeah, that's it.
And that'd be it. I hung myself, right? This would be this funny one. I've got a scar on my neck just here, right? When I was about, must have been 7 or 8 years old, we were playing hide and seek and I ran through a hedge and there was barbed wire in the hedge.
Yeah.
And I literally hung myself on the barbed wire and I was like shouting for my mate and she came back and she pulled the barbed wire out of my neck, right? And was like, oh, I think you need to go and see your mum. That doesn't look good, right? So I've put my fingers on it, gone trotting back down to the pub and gone, mum, help me. I've like cut my neck. And she was like, oh, let's have a look, dear. So she just looked at it and went, oh, that'd be all right. Bit of Dettol or Savlon or something.
Yeah.
Stuck a plaster on it and sent me out. Then I went to the doctor's a few days later and he was like, oh, she should have really had stitches in that. That just missed her windpipe. But my mum's like, oh, that's plaster.
That's all right. Yeah.
You're fine.
I know.
The resilience.
Well, that's it. And that's what, unfortunately, they're not built with today.
No.
They're not built with resilience. And it's those things that are real core values that I think are really important now. You know, really important. And there's just, you know, you've got to be so sensitive of what you're saying and
well, that's everything. All this, I mean, this is the inversion, and it's this satanic principle inversion of everything.
Yeah.
The moral relativity. It's okay over here, but it's not okay over there.
Yeah.
Just to confuse you and bring in all that. You know, even things like you can't call a tractor a certain colour now.
Oh no.
Old dial book because it's racist. It's like
chest feeding, not breastfeeding. I mean, really?
Yeah, it's
hell?
at some point we got to stop this seriously. Because it's getting, I mean, remember, did you ever read 1984 by George Orwell? Have you ever read it? Oh, no. Read it. It's literally,
I'll write that down.
It's literally showing you what's sort of happening now. It's written years and years and years ago. I remember reading it.
Really?
I'm thinking, like, bloody hell. Do you know what I mean? That will never happen.
It's set in the future.
Yeah, exactly, Django.
To put it into perspective of how old it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like set in the future of where they bring in the thought police and, you know, everything's monitored, cameras everywhere, every single move. You're in these cities, you're not allowed to move unless you got your little passes and stuff like that. And it literally is 15-minute cities, Agenda 2030, you know, what the loony bins are trying to bring in. It's all that stuff. I know we're coming out of it, but it's, you know, there's other lovely stuff coming. But at the moment,
30 seconds.
What these lunatics. He wrote it. George Orwell wrote it all in 1984.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah.
Massively. It's just funny when you read it. You just go,
yeah. I know.
It just takes people to stand up and do something.
It does.
And you lie.
And welcome back to Kindasound again this morning, chatting all things everything really, Katie, this morning.
It is. I think we've covered it in the break as well. Every topic went.
I think we have, yeah. So resilience was one topic that we touched on while we're chatting on there. And I think this is really, really important because when I'm doing training around resilience and that, the first question I say to people is, on the subject of resilience, are you born with it or taught it? And I think it's a bit of both. I think we're born with everything we need. Yeah. We're fully confident, we're loving, we're generous, we're compassionate, we believe in ourselves. As a baby, you don't have a baby attempting to walk and fall over twice and go, oh no, I'm not a walker, I'm just going to crawl for the rest of my life. They are very resilient and they just keep going.
Completely, yeah.
Yeah, and I think...
And there's no fear, is there?
Yeah, I think we're born with everything we need, and then we either have it enhanced or we have the stuffing kicked out of us.
I completely agree. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, I truly believe that as well. Truly believe that. And it's the people who are around you, will either build you up and that's another thing to learn, or bring you down. And yeah, definitely.
And if we apply that to the education system with children now and resilience, when you think about people building you up or bringing you down, if you look at, I wonder where does it start? Because me and my sister grew up with two parents who we had no choice but to be resilient in the environment we were in. We had no choice but to be independent in a sense.
Yeah, that's the same as me. Yeah,
yeah. With morals, with values, with ethics, with a work ethic. We were taught you don't get something for nothing.
Nothing. Yeah.
We had all of these things, and we had animals to look after. That it wouldn't be, oh, I'll do your horses for you.
Yeah.
It'd be, get out and do your horses.
Yeah.
It was, if you don't look after them, you don't have them.
No, that's right.
It was all of these things that we grew up with. So I think it just ingrained the resilience in you, and the phrases. Did you grow up with any of these phrases? There's no such word as can't. Don't be so stupid.
Brush yourself down and get on with it.
Yeah. It's things like that though, isn't it? If we used to say, oh, I can't do it, we would literally get, there's no such word as can't.
Yeah, that was a favourite in my family. No such word as can't. Come on. Yeah. But do you know what? I am really grateful for my upbringing. So grateful, because it did build resilience in me. I come from a very long line of very strong women, and a strong family. And I think, that resilience, it's helped me to really overcome things in my life. And I think the challenges that you have in life, that's a test of your resilience, isn't it? And I think that's quite concerning, really, for our young people.
Yeah, massively. It's with all the social media, I don't know how we've got to this point where the kids have no resilience in them whatsoever. But what I've found in school is someone will say something to someone, and then that's it, their world ends. It's
terrible. Yeah, and I think the thing is, everything is looking externally, nothing is looking internally. So actually, most of them don't know who they are, what their values are, what we were saying when we was in the break, and what our core values are. What are your core values? I don't even know what that is, and that's really sad. Everything is external. It's this one, that one, this one's got a filter on it, and they can't really be the real them, because through fear of judgment or being excluded, from friendship groups. So it is really difficult.
Yeah, if you've not got the right hair, if you've not had your lips done.
Yeah, and it's like, no, it's not good, is it?
No, it's the externalizing of happiness. So we're in that type of generation now where if you get, not for so much for the kids at school, but it's a similar thing. If you get the right car, if you get the right house,
well, that's what your life is based on. Yeah.
And that'll give you happiness. But all that gives you is a quick hit of dopamine.
Yeah.
As soon as that dopamine, the chemical, the reward chemical in your body wears off, you need more. And
well, that's so true. That is so true. And I can remember when I lost my mum, and so I was 39, and had a very successful business. You know, if you looked at me externally, you'd think, wow, she's got everything. But it's so true what you're saying, you know, material things you can look at. But when I lost my mum, I then sold my business. I was so empty on the inside, you know. I didn't really know who I was, you know. And I think that's really, really true what you're saying, so true. Because we're not taught to go internal.
No.
And that's been for me, that's been a real journey of the last 10 years. Because up to then, I was just constantly like, bang, 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 bang. You know, I was a machine, basically.
Yeah.
You know, had my children, went back to work. It was like, I can do everything. But actually, you know,
Yeah,
so
it's the happiness, the pursuit of happiness externally, you'll never become happy. Because it's that state on the inside, isn't it? I think it's my biggest learning of losing Caesar. So when I lost my dog 2 years ago, it was, you know, he was my happiness on a stick. And then my dog before him, Jester, he was my happiness. Everything I did was based around those two dogs. That they were what drove me in life to you know, work, to earn a living, to do what I was doing, was because I had something to look after.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. You know me, I've worked in personal development for over 20 years, so I know a lot about myself. However, I was missing that one fundamental factor, which was going on the inside to actually truly make me happy on the inside, not doing it for someone else.
That's right.
And it was only after losing C that I sort of sat there and thought, wow, do you know what I mean? I've been meditating for years. I work in personal development, but I've never actually turned my attention fully
onto yourself.
Onto the inside of me. And when I started doing that, life transformed. I just didn't care, Kate. I didn't care anymore.
No, I know.
It's like it gives you back this power. When you connect back to your being, to your soul, whatever you want to call it, that internal space where no one can affect you in that space, because you feel the love for yourself on the inside. So it doesn't matter what people around you say to you or about you. If you feel good on the inside of you, people, that's the most important thing. All day long. Yeah, it doesn't matter, because you just think, well, that's your wrap of reality. Wonderful. You're obviously not feeling, you know, you obviously don't love yourself, otherwise you wouldn't show me those. No. And I think, as I said, I think, you know, it for me, my turning point was getting into the whole, you know, I always loved the spirituality side, and I explored it. But I think for me, it was when my mum was very into it, and my mum's passing was so beautiful, you know. My mum really believed in it all, but it was my mum's passing and then me selling my business. I mean, so I was like, so from the age of sort of 20 up till 39, I was just like bang, 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 you know. And then I was like, well, who am I? So I really went in there and went on this lovely spiritual journey. But then again, like what I was saying to you before, it was like at Christmas, I got really, really poorly. And just like what you were saying then, when, you know, you meditate, you'll go to the gym, you'll do this, you'll do that. But how much of that are you actually processing and taking it in, instead of looking at the clock thinking, okay, all right, well, I've got half an hour to do my meditation, quickly walk the dog. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. And I think we was both saying it, wasn't we, when we met for a coffee? And I literally got stopped in my tracks before Christmas, because I think from the last 5 years again, I was just going again. I've got divorced, you know, moved house, I lost my dad. There's a lot gone on, changed work. And it's how much of that you don't actually give yourself time to sit and process these things. We're so quick to move on and, okay, you know, and really you can go and have healing, but the healing that you've got to do is within yourself. You can go and have lots of healing done, but it comes from within. And that's what I was saying to you about that podcast I listened to by Catherine May. And it was about wintering. And my friend said to me, just listen to it. It's fantastic. And it is about, you know, taking that time that when things happen, to give yourself that time to grieve, to process. And when you're not having a great day, that's okay as well, you know? Yeah, I actually quite enjoy this is going to sound weird, but I quite enjoy not having a good day. The simple fact that most of my life is pretty peaceful and balanced.
Yeah.
So when I have a day where I want to cry, or I feel like things are going wrong, or I mean, there's nothing really fundamentally wrong in my life. You know, I'm very fortunate. I really am. I've got good friends, great family. You know, work-wise is good, and it's just every now and then when I have one of those days, I think it's nice to appreciate the fact that you can feel the other stuff, because that brings balance back.
Yes, it does.
Sitting in it and absorbing it and going, oh, everything's gone wrong. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, no, actually, it's my perspective on events, and actually, you know, everything has to have light and dark balance, yin and yang. It has to.
Without a doubt.
It's just your perception of it is how you're gonna. The result you're going to get is based on your perception of it. So if you saturate yourself in the misery, then you're going to end up in that space chemically, emotionally, thought-wise, where, you know, things get really, really bad, and you can generate that in your life. However, if you stand in that space and just go, actually, I feel really bad. You know, I've lost my dog. I'm allowed to grieve. I can feel the grief, and you allow yourself to process the grief and process the anger, not give it to other people, but just process it. Allow your body to experience it. You'll grow from that, and then you'll be even stronger. And then on the other side of it, you'll actually be even happier.
Of course you will, yeah.
Allowing yourself to get that stuff through the body, to not bury the emotions. No. We know that, you know, buried emotional content can lead to dis-ease in the body. So when you allow yourself to process, and I always say, you know, if I'm really angry, I don't have to give it to anybody.
No.
I can, you know, I'm going to be angry, but it doesn't mean I need to smash things up. I might go and do some exercise, you know, I might sit down and journal, or do something with it that's productive, so I can take the experience, move through the experience, and learn something from it, rather than just react to it.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And I think that's, as I say, what happened to me at Christmas. My leg came up, and it was just, I had the worst infection. But you know, I'm so blessed that I've got the most amazing friends that, you know, do a variety of holistic therapies and alternative therapies, and that was poison in my body through things I was holding on to. And I know that, you know, you go to the hospital and they'll tell you whatever it is, and that's great. That was great, but that was stuff I was holding on to, and I'm really grateful of that, because that took me into a period of 3 months. I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't go to my go-tos, and I had to just sit with it. And that was actually quite uncomfortable, but that's okay. And that's the thing. I think our young people of today are not taught, you know, we're so quick to move out of things and not sit with them and think, okay, what is this showing me? What is it showing me? What am I learning from this? And time will pass, and you will get over that. You know, you will get through it, and you know, you will go through you will process and go through these emotions. But I think with young people today, it's like there's so many different things to anaesthetize, isn't there?
Distract. It's all distraction, isn't it? Everything, if you think of every single thing that's been, it's all by design. A friend of mine always,
of course it is.
It's all by design, Wendy.
Yeah.
It's all by design. And it's designed to distract you away from the powerful being that you are. Yeah. We know, you know, on an energetic level, we create everything that we see around us, but we're not.
Yeah.
So all of these distractions, the social media, you know, the TV, even schooling, education, everything that's around you that stops you sitting within the self is a distraction to disconnect you.
Of course it is. Disengage. And you know what, they've done a bloody good job with our young people now.
Oh, massively.
You know, and their addictions now are to the digital, you know, and that's really, so that's why I think it's really important to come back. You know, let's take it back. Let's take it back. Let's have some fun, get creative, you know, and distract, come away from all of that and get back to let them know who they are, and actually what the gifts take, because we've all got gifts inside of us, but you just need to be shown a way for them to be able to come out.
To bring them out, exactly. You are the universe, brand new heavies.
Yes.
Why do you like this one?
Well, because I just think that's to all the kids out there. That's my little song to all of the young people out there. the words to it, and the words to it specifically isn't there, and there's nothing that you can't do. And if you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything you want if you've got that passion inside you. So
100%. Django, if you wouldn't mind, a bit of You Are the Universe for us this morning, please.
And you're off air.
Lovely job, thank you.
what are you doing afterwards, friend?
I've got a quick session to do for a friend of mine.
Oh,
He just
lovely.
needs a quick clean up around something, so I said I'd do that for him this morning, and then I'm off out with Dave just to grab a coffee, go pick me raw milk up from the raw milk dairy.
Oh, where's that?
I've got one in Wormingford, so
Right.
about 15-20 minutes up the road.
Nice.
So I should go.
So I want to speak to you in the week then about signing up for this training, your training. Doing this
Yeah, no,
weekend.
I've got to send Scott, tell him I've not forgot. I've literally run out of time. How's
your Forex training going?
Good. Yeah, good. We're sort of on it now, getting into the swing of it now.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, so still on demo accounts.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed off the demo accounts until we've doubled the demo accounts.
Yeah.
But that is our goal. Me and my training buddies this week, we now have a trading plan. So this week now we're trading our plan. And by next week, hopefully the account should be looking pretty good. And then my goal is by May to be on a funded trading account.
Fantastic.
So that's my goal. I don't know what the goals are, but we catch up every morning. We're on air every morning at like 6:30, 7 o'clock.
That's fantastic, isn't it?
Bits and pieces and jump back on in the afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to definitely do your training as soon as possible, really, I think.
Yeah,
so we'll speak in the week when you can, when you're free.
Yeah, I've got, I think I'm about tomorrow, Tuesday. I'm in the car for 4 hours on Wednesday on the way out to Manchester. So if you need a chat.
Yeah, we can speak then, definitely. You're going over to your mum's?
Today, yeah, going to go have dinner over there later.
Nice.
Gonna have a little bit of time to myself this afternoon. I don't know what I'm gonna do actually.
No.
I've quite a chilled weekend this weekend. I wanted some Wendy time because I'm always boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, you need it. It's so important. So important. Yeah, what do you want to
30
discuss
seconds.
in this? Oh.
We'll just finish off where you've what you've been doing and hopes for the future, really, I suppose.
Yeah.
I told you this hour goes so quick.
Didn't it? It's great.
Yeah, like massively quick. I'll put this up on YouTube later as well. So.
Okay, darling.
Radio, the station for a global community.
And July.
And welcome back to Kindasound Radio this morning on the Reality Bite Show with me, your host, Wendy Smith, and my gorgeous guest, Katie Bristow. Nearly called you Katie Brewis, but it doesn't matter because they're both your surnames anyway. She loves to confuse me. She's on my phone with 2 different surnames. And I
Depends what I'm feeling on what day.
Exactly. So to finish off this morning, because we've sort of been all over the houses in this morning, but the one thing I know about is you've been running like youth centres for children and that, just sort of help them out, because like you said, there's so many kids who are just losing the plot in school at the moment and they're wanting out of education. So how does that work and what have you been doing?
So yeah, it's fantastic. We've been, as I said, I've been working with youth centres, with Essex Youth Service, which is great. But I've got some other exciting projects that are going to be coming up, which are really going to allow working with different organisations, which are really going to allow young people to be able to express themselves a lot more creative. And I think that's what's needed, because we need to really, that's what I was saying before, we really need to be, there needs to be something else, something needs to shift for these young people, because that's all I'm observing is it's just everything is external. And I think a lot of them, post-COVID, are just in a heightened state of distress, which is really sad. There's just so much upheaval for them at the moment and uncertainty, and they haven't got the tools. They've not been given the tools, taught the tools, learnt the tools to basically deal with this. And it's really sad. So I really, including yourself, there's a lot of people I think who we all feel very much the same, but for me you've got to all come together. This, what I've learned along the way, and the work I've been doing through the Place to Be Me, you know, being a smaller organisation, you can't just do it on your own. You need a group of people that have got that same passion, you know, because you are going to have challenges with this, because it is outside the education system. But I think, you know, you've got the right team around you, you can achieve anything with them. And I think it's time now. I think it's time.
It is time for people to just start. So with the whole experience, like you say, people have not been, without going into the whole COVID gone through, basically, it's one of those things that no one was given any tools to deal with this. This is something that's been coming for a long period of time based on certain things that are WEF organised and all that, which we're not focused on anymore because we don't care about these people.
No.
It's for everybody to realise and wake up now. We can change things when we stand together.
100%. And you know what? I think that's what, and it's about, again, not being frightened to speak up and say, stand in your truth. And also, most importantly, is to show kids that it's all right to be vulnerable. You know, what's happened to vulnerability? It's such a beautiful thing, but so much so now, we're not allowed, you know, you don't allow yourselves that to be vulnerable. And I think it's about going back, it's teaching them about creating solid friendships, healthy relationships. You know, there's so much nowadays, you know, you're looking at how young people view sex and things like that and relationships. We've really got to bring it all back. So for me, you know, I don't see it as me doing it myself. I see me as part of, you know, a whole team of different people with different skill set that we're all going to come together and do this collectively, you know.
So if people want to find out a bit more about what you do, you said it's called A Place to Be Me.
The Place to Be Me, yeah. So
how can they get hold of your
so they can go onto my website, www.theplacetobeme.cic.org.uk, or email me at Kate, the Place to Be Me, cic.org.uk. So
well, we'll put those links at the bottom of the videos, and I'm sure Django will tag them.
And you know, it'll be lovely to see, hopefully. We've got a lot of exciting stuff coming up. And then we can come back on and speak about it.
Oh yes, definitely.
We know what we've got planned. So
indeed, there's big plans afoot for the future.
Yes,
so some good stuff coming, guys, is all you need to know. Katie, I just want to say thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. It's been lovely. Wendy, I always love talking to you. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, same here, woman. Same here. Love you to bits. Right, and Django, thank you so much for producing as always. And I just want to say thank you to all the listeners and the viewers to this, because you're the people that we do this for, and it keeps us going. And we're just going to play out with, I love this to finish off. I love the songs that people choose. Walls Come Tumbling Down, Please Django by the Style Council.
And you're all fair.
Lovely job.
Fantastic.
Nice. So there we go.
Yeah, perfect. That was great. Okay, Wen, so